It's a wonderful opportunity here today to be able to sit down with Dr. Kallaya, my friend and my colleague for so many years,
Yes.
working together to try and understand and try and figure out the difficult world and always changing of shrimp diseases. Today, Dr. Kallaya, I want to take advantage of this opportunity to talk to you about EHP. I know you've been working on it very hard for the last number of years and are now the world's expert. Can you tell me a little bit about EHP and how it's similar and how it's different from other shrimp diseases?
Okay. So yes, we are working with this EHP like since 2015, something like that. After the end of the EMS, and then when we checked the shrimp after EMS in Thailand, we found that 60% of the ponds are infected with EHP. So that is a kind of alarm for us to know more about it. And EHP is compared to the other disease, Craig, is special in the sense that if you have the bacteria, you know that it's an extracellular pathogen. So they produce toxin, protease, whatever to lyse the cell from outside of the cell. The virus go inside of the cell and then propagate and go out. But EHP, they have both intracellular and extracellular stage.
Wow.
So that's why they are more, kind of violence for me in terms of the distribution of the disease, something like that.
So EHP is more of a parasite, right? A microsporidium? What's the difference?
The life cycle is more or less like the parasite. They can be in the cell and then a kind of hijack the ATP because EHP themselves, they cannot produce ATP, no mitochondria, no nothing. So they cannot produce the ATP. So the way they grow is to transport the ATP from the host cell for their own benefit. That's why the shrimp grow slow. Growth retardation, something like that. So this kind of a big problem for shrimp.
And for the farmers to try to control the disease of EHP in the farm, is the fact that it's a microsporidium versus a bacteria versus a virus, is it different in how the farmers can deal with it?
We found that the EHP can cause the shrimp weakness, and the opportunistic pathogen, especially the bacteria, can come, and this cause a kind of white feces syndrome that the farmer observed in the farm. If the EHP alone and no bacteria, then they will go slow growth and not affect to the survival, but slow. But if you have the opportunistic bacteria like the bacteria of Vibrio species, then you can get the white feces syndrome, and by that shrimp will die. So this is the situation we see in Thailand so far.
So the situation in Thailand, has it changed over the last few years? I know that sometimes you get no growth, sometimes you get a lot of mortality. What's happening in Thailand today?
For EHP, I don't get the report much about the mortality, but they don't affect the survival. But it's like you keep feeding them without knowing that are they going to grow. So the cost of the feed will be, FCI is going to be very high. And I think nowadays, I heard some farmers start to say that they can live with it somehow, but I still think that the majority of the farmers still face the problem of EHP.
Yeah, still face problems, especially when there's environmental problems and when the amount of disease in the environment gets higher, they have more problems.
And the most important thing is that the farmer don't aware that when shrimp get in the pond get infected with EHP, it means that the water is contaminated with a lot of EHP spore. So if they don't have the way to do this waste treatment or have the reservoir pond to keep it for a while, and if they release it directly to the water, natural water reservoir, then they will going to have the problem because it's gonna come back. And the spore has, from our experience, we went to the farm with EHP infection, the spore in the pond. We found that we can still have it viable for at least a month.
1 month
without water.
So in order to develop solutions for EHP, you say that the farmers are now able to live with it in some cases, in some areas. What kind of things are the farmers doing? What strategies for surviving the disease?
Our team, we are working on the solution in terms of how to treat the ponds with high pH before you stock the new crop. Or even with the water treatment with potassium permanganate or the choline at some certain level, they can inactivate the EHP spore, something like that. And also now I think the farmer also aware of the carrier in the farm. For example, the mussel or the other live feed that they should be aware of. Stocking density should be a little bit, not so high, because if all the infected shrimp excrete the feces into the pond, then it's going to be at the same time very high, high opportunity for this, distribution of the EHP. I think that the way they are doing it, but however, this will be applied for the a big farm, big scale farmers. In my point of view, I still think that the farm that still have the problem is the low and small scale and middle scale farm.
Mm-hmm. Nowadays we have, thanks to your lab and others, very good diagnostic testing. Are the hatcheries making sure to control EHP in the post-larvae?
For the PCR, we always recommend the hatchery to check the PCR for the PL. However, and that work well. We don't have the hear the problem from not using it so far. But the problem in Thailand, I don't know if it will be the other area. Some farmers still check the feces for the presence of the EHP. Even from the research part, we said that you have to be very careful. There is many developmental stages. You don't see the EHP spore in the feces, doesn't mean that they don't have EHP in shrimp. So this still a kind of a big problem in Thailand now. They don't see it, they think they are free, but actually after developmental stages, for example, I like to talk about the plasmodium stage, which is the major stage during the development of EHP. They're still there.
But no spores in the feces.
But no spore in the feces. We don't know why, but that can happen too.
Yeah. With some diseases, for example, aphids, we know that over time, the genetic companies have been able to develop tolerant lines that help the farms. We've recently been able to collect some data comparing the genetics and have found some really interesting comparisons showing genetic tolerance for EHP in some of the lines. My question is, how can that help, or how can that change the situation in the farms if they have tolerant stocks for EHP?
I think this will help a lot because as you know that when EHP doesn't affect the survival, the farmers still keep feeding them. So the cost of the feed, the FCI is so high because they kind of hoping that they will grow someday. You know, when you don't see any mortality, you just hope that they will grow. By having this genetic tolerance, EHP tolerance, I think it will help the farmer in this aspect. You can be sure that they will less susceptible or not infected with EHP at all, which means that they will have less opportunity to the other pathogen too. I think this will be the best, in my opinion, this is the best option for the farmers.
We've seen farms where they actually become infected with and see significant white feces, and normally the crop would completely be lost. But in some cases now we're able to see with a genetic line that's tolerant both for aphids and for EHP that they're actually clear up after a certain amount of time and continue to grow. Not the same survival as a clean pond, but still able to create a small profit.
Okay.
My question is, over time, if we really have some kind of resistant stock, do you think it's possible there will be less spores in the environment and maybe a positive feedback that less disease, less spores, less disease, and maybe more success for the farmers?
Yeah, I think that will happen for this, if you have this tolerant stock. Either you see with the aphid, we are also working with aphid EMS for a long time until we understand the mechanism of infection. But all the problem gone when we get this toxin tolerant stock. Then Thailand have then less than 10% of EMS aphid in less than 10%. I would think the same result will be with the EHP tolerant stock. You will help the farmer to get more uniform. One problem of the EHP is that shrimp got the high size variation, and when we see this situation, I think that the potential to develop EHP tolerance is there, because you choose the one with low EHP level, even they are in the same ponds. So I mean, the EHP tolerant stock will help a lot to the industry.
Shrimp are pretty amazing animals, you know. We think that they're so simple invertebrates, you know, and they don't have an adaptive immune system. But somehow, for each disease over the last 20 years, they're smarter than us. They're able to develop this tolerance. It's just up to the genetic companies to be able to utilize the mechanisms to make the tolerance work.
Okay.
Shrimp surprised me.
Surprised me too.
Always good. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today, and always a pleasure to see you.
Thank you, Craig. I enjoyed talking with you.